Right click. I don't understand why we're coming off of this. Meeting has been lost. Ended by host. Did not want to do that either. Wow. How much no fun is that? Let's get that fixed. I'll have that fixed in 1 second, guys. Sorry. Zoom. Start meeting. Start video. And share screen. Done. Share. And then Zoom. Let's see. Okay, turn off the speaker. There we go. Okay, good morning, guys. Sorry for running late. For the guys in the room, I have a little bit of a conflict today. My wife had a patient she had to get into the hospital. She's checking her in, and I have service guys at my house this morning that I had to go let in and stay there since my teenage daughter's there. So I'll be trading part of the session from my home office. The audio sucks there. I usually don't plan to be there. So, and I have reduced screens. I'm down to 3 screens there. So, but we'll do the best we can with what we have. I should not be more than an hour out of the office this morning. So let's start with the basics. We have trend day. We have trend day down. So coming out of Europe, and that's pretty important. When you trend in Europe and you trend in Asia, you can, okay, so we've had so many snaps back to the upside, you can't automatically say, hey, we're gonna actually have a true trend day down. But that's a key part of a formula in the history of, I guess, trading that that's a key part of the formula for having nasty trend days down, particularly when we can't recover above value area low in the first hour. Your odds of closing at or near the low increase significantly. So for those who like to short, that's what you're looking for. Before I get completely started, I've got to throw this up on the screen, so I'm going to do that. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Trading derivatives comes with substantial risk. You can lose your entire investment. Please know what you are doing before you do it, right? Losing money would really, really, no audio. No audio? Is anyone else having no audio issues? Can anyone else hear me? John, it's on your end. John. Okay, there we go. Okay, so past performance not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. Don't draw down hard, guys. Losing money is normal in trading. Losing all your money is not. Actually, unfortunately, it is normal, but don't let it be normal for you, right? If you have a hard time, I had a hard time earlier this week. I slowed my roll down significantly. I don't like digging out of holes. I don't remember any days in my history of 20 years of doing this where I went, oh, I can't believe I missed that day. But I can think of a lot of days where I wished I could have taken back even walking through the door because I didn't discipline myself early enough to roll myself back. So before we get started, let's take a quick look overnight at what we did. So first of all, for those of you who joined us in Asia, we've been killing it in Asia. It's not a lot of money. It's 1.5 to 3 points, right? I shorted 13 for 10.25 last night. That was my best scale. And I didn't even get all my size in. I was limit right here at 13. This is where was I? Right over here. And I had limit 13, 13.25, 13.50, 13.75, and 14, with the bulk of my size being back there at 13.75 and 14, and I didn't get hit. That being said, if you took the 13, you had 08. Excuse me, this isn't correct because I need to push this back a little bit. This is Europe right here. I mean Asia right here. I go back through here. Okay. We were short Asia right here, just after Hong Kong Open. We were short right there. I was actually 13, 13.25, 13.50, 13.75, and 14. All I got filled on was 13. That's fine. I had to account for the fact that the high volume node was at the point of control was at 28.14. Normally, when you're in Asia, you're not getting your separation is better than this relative. The high volume node isn't an issue. Let's put it that way. But last night it was. I had to account for the possibility of pushing in, and the point of control from the bar that broke us down was all the way up at 14.50, and I had to account for at least the back of that bar getting tested. It didn't get tested, so I didn't get filled on my full size. That being said, my scales were 12, 11.75, and then I finished it out at 10.25. I only got one trade instead of the usual 2 that I get during Asia, but I've had one losing night since I started trading Asia for the room in the room. In there, it's never big, but it's 1.25, 2, 3 points every night, and it's a great way to put down your P&L. Secondly, how did the locations work? So the backside, we closed underneath the white zone there. That was the point of control and the volume point of control. Backside test. We roll down 28.0750. Gets busted, right? So notice on the backside test, what you're doing is you're collecting traders who are trying to take this swing low right here. You're collecting traders who are like, I'm going to test the low, and when they don't get hit, right? See how they can't close the point of control, those little yellow lines above this area right here? That's because these guys who bought right here are using that backside test to dump their position. First time into the 28.0475, right? Still in Asia, technically perfect. I was already gone home by that point. These were my 2 locations that I was looking for potential longs from. This would have never triggered. That would have triggered. And then you can see the second time, it's very thorough before London Open, backside test. Again, each of these are worth, in this particular case, this was worth 5 points. This is worth 3 max, right? And I'm usually scaling off at 1, 1.5, and 2 points and leaving my trailers to run up to a logical location. And again, you'll see that logical location was the backside of that swing to the right. And then you can see overnight, we came down, notice the negative space, backside test once we closed underneath the white zone, right? Rejection, that makes perfect sense. Then we came in, this 27.98, 27.95.75, and 27.90. These are all prior swing lows. They're not, I want to be clear, these are not zones. They're prior swing lows is what they are. And they're getting, as you can see, we're opening up underneath our last swing low, okay? This is pure trend when you get this, okay? That is pure trend down. So the first thing you want to ask is, do we have the ability in the morning on both NQ and ES? Do we have the ability to get above VWAP, right? Expect there to be sellers first time through on VWAP. As a matter of fact, my guess is if we don't pop it right out of the gate, right, that notice since Asia, right, this was the only test back over here. This was the only test of VWAP we've had all night long. Expect there to be sellers on VWAP first touch. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. This is also the make or break. If you get an impulse move above, right, 28.03, 28.0475 is the first resistance point, right? And then this is value area low. The pink line is value area low. And by the way, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. That's usually a money trade in Asia. I'm looking for that money trade to come closer to 2030 than I am towards midnight. But either way, I actually might have, had I been here now that I rethink this, the 2807.50, I probably would have taken that and gotten stopped had I actually been around, but I'm never around at midnight. But I probably would have taken that and taken a stop there. I just simply would have flipped that back around and shorted on the backside and gotten the money back. And I would have taken this trade out of the white zone back up, right? So importantly, this is pretty ominous when you get this, not because it always works, but because when it does to the downside and we're holding under VWAP all night long, we tend to trend. The rule is when you're trending down, the old rule was trending down in Europe or trending up in Europe, trending down in Asia, right, that you get continuation in the US market, and we tend to close at an extreme. So let's go and look at what the key areas are below to trade and what we're looking for, right? So if we flip over, somewhere here I have an ES chart. I've reproduced so many of these. There we go. Let's erase all lines and get to work. So number one, first thing I'm looking at, these were the swing lows that I was talking about, the 27.95, 27.98, right? And you can see prior to that, that was the launch point, that 27.90.91. So this 27.90.91.75 area is important because it launched this current rally that took us to recent highs, correct? Slow this down a bit. Let me move this out of my face. So you can see that's never the point of that breakout. We opened in this period, in A period here. I'm going to show you this today because this was an open drive higher. Okay, that breakout has never been tested. That A period right there, that was the opening period, and it's never gotten retested. It is not uncommon when you end up with a strong up day. I don't think this one got retested ever. And this, we see how we gapped underneath and immediately trapped back underneath, and then that produced a trend day up. And see how this is flat through here? Again, those are super easy to trade through, right? So when we're looking this morning, the first thing I want to know is 27.90.91 hold, right? 27.90.91 puts us down about 20 points from where we're trading right now. Given that we're trend day down, I probably want to push closer to that 25. But normally 20 to 25, the first thing I'm thinking in my head, 20 to 25 generates a reversal. So I don't want to short down 20 to 25, and I don't want to get caught up in the melee of the first 30 minutes of half the world thinking gap down. You know, there's half the retail world out there that goes gap down, we should automatically buy it. Here, let me turn on the lights so I don't look like I'm in a Halloween show. There we go. But normally I trade with the lights out for most of the day. So when I'm looking at this chart, I'm going through a couple questions. Number one, can I get back to value area low, right? Excuse me. Okay, just like here when I'm gapping down. So let's pretend for a second that 717 is today, right? We're gapping down. It looks ugly, right? So the first thing I'm asking is, can I get back above, if this is that date, can I get back above 27.97 and a quarter? Oddly enough, that's exactly where we're trading right now, right? If we do, bing, light goes on and go, okay, process might have changed. We're not trend day down. We're not gonna roll to the downside. And I put an immediate break on getting aggressive on the short side, right? Particularly after the first hour, I know, hey, we've closed into value area low, and I know that on the best trend days down, we don't get back above value area low. So let me show you an example of that, right? So see how on this day right here, see how we opened up right here in A period? Okay, so this is important. We opened up in A period, see that right there? And see how we kept pressing back into value area low? We had one close back in to the value area, and it came all the way at the end of the day and got back underneath, and you kept getting pushes out. So what my plan would be for today is to look for the algo to set me up on potential rejections, meaning high deltas, the star process for guys that are in the room where the algo is firing to the short side. I'm looking for pushes in and signs that I can get rejection out of this area, right, for pushes back to the downside. I want to give you another example here real quick because I think this is going to be very important for today versus talking about where support levels are. So on days where we have trend day down. So this is another example. See how we gap down below everything? My line's going to be up here, right? And then I'm going to use another line since I don't have it, which is probably this right here. There's two areas of the 51. So look how that date opened up. We gap down. We open an A period, and A period closes at the low. That first 30 minutes, we close at the low. So notice the couple of things that are happening that the half-hour time frame tell you that really help you keep your mindset focused on two things. There's got to be two objectives for today. Trend days down are not as easy to trade in this environment because you have to be asking the same thing I am. Well, responsive buyer is going to come in and just drive me up. If I step in on the short early, am I just going to get whacked for 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 10 points, whatever the number is, and get run over? Right? I certainly don't want that to be my fate. Right? So the first thing I'm gonna ask is, are we one timing to the downside on the 30-minute time frame? Notice here, if you look to the right, see how we gap down? See how we gap down? And I have two areas that I'm looking at, right? This is my value area low over here. So see how you could have looked at this and said, hey, on the half-hour time frame, at the end of the first hour, we haven't retested that value area low from the prior day, right? But what happens at the end of that at the end of the third half hour, we are trading above and we stop one timing to the downside. Notice what that sets up, right? You go, well, I missed the bottom, but you didn't, because all you have to do is, and I don't have it, but this, I guarantee you this is a 50-60 back. I don't have it. Analysis tools. Sorry, I do not have my normal window. Let's try something here. I should have this up, unless this is window control bar 1. Ah, there we go. Okay, so notice this here. You could have waited all day long, right? You stopped one timing in the third 30-minute period. There's the 50-60 back, and you get a moonshot from 27.56, 27.55, all the way up to 27.68. That's worth waiting for all day, right? Again, instead of guessing if we're going to stop one timing and getting run over to the downside, or guessing if it's short without getting the setup after we stop one timing to the downside there as well, right? Go, we stopped one timing. I'm looking for the 50-60 back. There's the push up. There's the 50-60 back. And notice you got two taps of that 50-60 back. That's 619 if you want to go look at the date, and push to the upside. You don't have to be Johnny on the spot in the first 30 minutes to figure out trend day down, right? So this is one example where the first thing I'm going to ask is, can we close above and stop one timing to the downside on the 30-minute time frame? If we do, first thing I'm going to do is go, where's the 50-60 back? And then I'm going to look for the algo to trigger me in for the long or the short out of that 50-60 back, right? Next, on taps into value towards value area high, you'll notice we came right into the hole. See how there's a hole right behind the anomaly here, right? And notice we tap right into that anomaly, into the hole, and that made a rejection, right? So we can take all that we already know from the past and come back and look over here and go, what's the market going to do? So, or what's the likely scenario of where we're likely to find responsive buyers and responsive sellers? So we're trading currently at 27.97, right? So the first thing that comes up on my radar is, what I look for are these points of control. When they're structured together, I look for responsive buyers there, and that puts me right at 27.81 to 27.79. That provides me with two things. First of all, we closed at 28.13. If we get down to 79 to 81, that's rough math, 30 points down, right? And change. I would expect a responsive buy. So the first thing I want to do if I'm a trader, well, what happened on this day when we got here? So let's go look. So notice that we came in initially. Remember, this is a half-hour time frame, right? See how we came in right here? And that time frame, see how the next 30 minutes closed up? That point of control was sitting essentially at 28.07 3/4, and it rolled up to 28.1250. Good location, right? Good location to find responsive buyers. See how you had this huge anomaly here to the left, right? And an old value area low that hadn't been tested. See how we came right into between that value area low and the bottom of this massive anomaly here to the left? and we found responsive buyers. And where did we come back to? Notice that the prior day, in this particular case, the prior day, we noticed that we came down to the volume point of control and reversed. And then when we came back up, that created a, there's a low volume node on top of here that's this area right here. We came back and backside tested. And then if you'll also notice, I guarantee if you go in and look, we stopped one time into the downside right here. And if we break this period down right here after this, if you go here to here, I promise you, first time into that 50, 60 back, you found response. And the reason I know that is because this next period, when we tested this 50 right here at 28.0450, that next period, the high of it was 28.08. So at least 4 points out of that rotation, right? So for this morning, right, when I look back over here, again, I'm just putting pieces together of the puzzle. The first thing I'm looking at is, do I have the ability to get back to 28.07 1/4? Secondly, there's a naked volume point of control and a naked TPO point of control at 28.04 to 28.03. I already know when I go back and look to the left from overnight, right? 28.03, 28.04, got a response from the front side test and from the back side test. I know I probably get rejection out of that 03, 04, and it also keeps me, when I look to the left, underneath value area lows. So if I can drive up here, yeah, I'd probably, if I was aggressive on the short side, again, I'm not trading the first half hour, that's where I'm going to try to give it a shot to the downside. Or even if I can have the ability to reduce size, I might take a reduced size trade and see if I can build in this area, or look for the algo to trigger me in, one of the three, right? Hold on one second, I need to move an algo to the right. There we go. Okay. Next thing that I'm looking for, I know that this area has gotten traded through on both sides, that they're showing reluctance to push above, but I'm watching for VWAP. Now, one thing that's important, if I get to that 03, 04, you got to know that someone's going to try to step in on that VWAP on that backside test of 08.75. You want to clear it. And remember, if we don't clear this at all, that's the strongest side, a potential trend day to the downside, right? And you want to keep an eye on NQ as well to see if it's getting slaughtered or not. Okay, next, going through the process. We already know that we have this down here, 08, right? I expect a response out of that area. I'll be looking for strong. And notice the delta. The delta gets greater than negative 20,000. We're not there yet, but don't be surprised if it does, right? And so the next on my list is I'm looking to see if there's responsive buyers. Here, let's just use this chart from today. Back at this 90.91, right? Everyone and their brother is looking at 90.91, by the way. But that's where I'm looking next. If we can't, regardless of whether we push up into 03, 04, right, or reject out of this 2800 and simply drive down, everyone's looking at 90.91 1/4. I would expect a response there. In the first half hour to hour, expect it to be violent, right? Which means it can either be tap and violent reversal, or it can just simply blast through there and then the backside test becomes resistance. Hence why I like to skip the first half hour, because if you see me trade in Asia, you'll see how much more relaxing it is just to go, that's resistance, and it usually works, right? You keep your stops tight, and almost like clockwork, I can pull the money out. I hate it when I get run over by algos and stuff like that. It's really frustrating. Next, we're looking for the biggest deltas. I'll cover that in a second. If we really melt and we get beyond this 80, 81, the next area, these are naked volume points of control, okay, 71.70, and then 62.75, 62.50. So let's go look at those areas and see what they're providing for us. So number one, see how behind the naked volume point of control, see how the anomaly is big, wide, and flat, okay? There's an old value area low you want to mark off right here at 27.75, right? Okay, it's not automatic, but it's an area where traders are going to look to get a reversal. There's an open gap sitting right there at 27.73 1/4. Let me color that as I'm going through. You should be taking notes on this because I tend to forget it as I get lost in my individual setups, right? Open gap down here. This is relatively easy to trade through. So if 27.80, 79 doesn't hold, expect 75, 73 next, right? And then below that, you have a volume point of control, and actually you can tighten that down to 27.71, 27.71.50, okay? If you look at that 27.71, that was a gap away. See this empty space between this close, this gap? This was the top of an open window. They never tested that naked volume point of control at 27.72. From either side, we haven't tested that, right? So this is the top of an open window. Remember, that makes this area, you'll want to take notes, because if it's not today, it might be tonight. You never know when we get ugly, right? All the way down to here, right? Usually this would be called Dalton's gap fill right at the top. So you want to write down Dalton's gap fill, 27.66.50. For some reason, I think we just recently tested 27.66 before launching to the upside. I don't know why I remember that. We tested in the Asian session. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure 27.66 got tested to the tick in Asia. I'm going to go back and look at that really quick in just a moment. And then remember also the mid of the half gap. That's this right here from here to here, right? A lot of traders will look to the mid of that half gap. So you want to write that down. Mid of half gap, 27.68.75 to 27.68. Everyone will be looking to Dalton's gap fill, and a lot of times the mid of the half gap just holds it. It never gets there. So again, potential area for responsive buyers, right? And then if you get underneath here, hole in the profile at 27.59 to 27.58.50, really poorly auctioned underneath that. And I'd be really, really careful underneath 27.58. There's no volume point of control. The closest thing is a TPO. So if we get into this area, and again, this is pretty much Armageddon at this point, so I don't think it's happening. But if we get into this 27.58 to 27.33, be careful with your longs. When the profile looks like this, you can re-auction this whole thing straight down. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, this would be called a maximum pain location. Obviously, I don't think we're going down 70 points today, but it's happened this year, right? We've had down 50 and 60 points, right? And the interesting thing is if we really melt and we get down 60, that really puts us right on the precipice of this area and would put us to testing down here. So if the day gets really ugly and we really start pouring on the sauce, this is probably our extreme extended target would be 27.59, 27.58. Those are the key areas for today. Can't make it any clearer than that. Then I start leaning on the algos. I'm looking for the biggest deltas intraday along with the algo to trigger me in. Let me remind everyone what we're looking at and remind everyone why that's important. Yesterday, going back, okay, 10:30 in the morning. By the way, kudos to several people called this. I already had it on the chart as an area, but several people actually shorted this. Got paid. Notice that we can't press past that 97.50. We're down 14. Remember, it's been summertime and it's been relatively illiquid. It wouldn't be hard to press in this area. There's a clearly defined low volume node, by the way, at 27.99 on the 24-hour profile. You can see it there. It's just plain as day. Here, let me see if I can show it to y'all. I think I still have a demo open somewhere. Maybe I don't. Oh, I thought I had a demo account opened. Let's see if I can. Here we go. File. Again, I'm not trading the first half hour. If you're in a rush to trade it, be my guest. We're down 200 points on the industrials. I don't know that industrials even matter anymore, but clearly not open drive higher, right? Here we go. I am in demo, sim. Okay, see that prominent low volume node there at 27.99? Traders will definitely target that to enter a short position. That's just from profile trading, right? Everyone knows it's a low volume node. It's keyed at 27.99.75. And and you can watch as they're pressing up. So first of all, notice how the dome's gotten a little thinner, and let it, instead of like 2 days ago, these are small things you should be keeping track of. How thick is the dome? How thick is the volume up and down? This is pretty thin. We've been at 6, 7, 800 in the morning on these back markers. They've dropped all to 400, 300. It's not horrible. Something to be overly concerned about. Interesting. So Ron thinks the shorts will get smoked. Yesterday's low is the area to short. I'm all right with that. I don't agree with it, Ron, necessarily, but I'm not trading the first half hour, so I don't care. I'll wait till I get set up by the algos and the key locations, right? So the important part, and how will we know that shorts are getting smoked, right? So let's go over here really quick, right? The other easy ways to do it. Oh, here we go. There, look. So there's some easy ways to do it. Number one, this is all about control, emotional control. Are we above or below the first 5-minute bar, right? Can we hold back inside the week's low? Monday's low is 27.98.25, right? We'd obviously, if you think it's going to roll down, we probably want to be underneath Monday's low to get a significant roll down. Is NQ above or below the first 5-minute low, right? Those are good markers to check off on. And can it hold below Monday's? And notice that NQ is not below Monday's low yet, right? ES is, NQ isn't. And the one thing I've been pointing out, and I mentioned this in the preview, right? We're making higher highs and higher lows. Notice we're backside testing on NQ, that uptrend line. See how we're rejecting that right below value area low? Ron's right. If we tag back into value area low on NQ, we probably run right into attempted gap fill, right? So again, this is why I try not to do the guessing in the first half hour, because I know I get set up pretty cleanly for my algos through the course of the day, and I don't have to guess, right? I'm looking for where the biggest delta is printing or isn't printing. Yesterday, I want to show you all this. See how this was. Okay, notice a couple things. Notice when we start stretching up, we get the final momentum push to the upside as annotated by the star. And then we get the star push to the downside, closes above our last push-up. And notice that last push-up from this last little series was the biggest delta push-up of there. And then we pushed down with a greater delta, 2213, than any of the deltas on top, number one, right? Number two, the biggest delta was over here at 4,000. It has to be right in here, right near the top, and I'm just not seeing it. Where was the 4,000? This is 8:42 in the morning. That's 9:14. I'm probably not on yesterday is the problem here. Let's see this. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. Right. 1900, 15. It was earlier. Hey, Bill, am I wrong? Was there not a 4,000 yesterday? I could have sworn there was. Oh, it's all the way back. That's the problem, right? There we go. Okay, here we are. We pushed hard. I remember that. Easy way to solve that is to look in my 2000. Give me just a second, guys. I have it marked off on another chart. I'll find it because it was the pivot for the whole day. Okay, I made up the 4,000. It was this 22.99 was the big push on top. 22.99. It was this guy right here. Okay, that was our big delta. Apologize, I stand corrected. So see how we pushed up? We pushed down on a 22.13. This is the biggest delta on top. This is the momentum push up, momentum push down. And then we had to close underneath this guy. See, once we close underneath this guy, see how they come in backside test them? And that's it. That's the roll to the downside right there. That's what ends it. Okay, so that was the biggest delta through this entire process over here. That was the biggest push to the upside. Okay, then you allowed for structures. The yellow bars are the speed bars showing that they're sweeping the bid, right? And that's what generated the roll to the downside. That is the setup that we're looking for when they push up. We're looking for them to push up hard and then get up underneath this guy. And when they close underneath this guy, we're looking for the short underneath and the backside test for a continued roll to the downside. And then this 17-19 area was pretty critical yesterday. Notice that what happened there was that what you would have expected here. So this is a really delicate area here, day trading, that you would have watched for. See, when we get this impulse move up, you would expect the backside test of VWAP to hold. When this VWAP didn't hold, you trapped all these traders. And then normally you would get a backside test where you did. See how they backside tested it? VWAP. VWAP. See how you got this backside test right here? You got underneath your biggest delta of the day, and then it pushed lower. I guess the 4,000 delta was from the prior day. There it is. I missed it. See that right there? At 28.18? That became your kingmaker right there. I knew we had a 4,000 delta in there somewhere. There's the 45.80. And notice we never even came back over. And then notice, see how we came right back there at half an hour before the close? See how we came right back to test them? There's the 4,500. I guess we just missed them. I apologize. But that's what I would have been targeting for a first time in on the short. I just would have missed, right? But I've been sitting right there waiting for that guy to come in to nail him to the short side. I may have not taken very many points out of it, 2-3 points, but that trade right there is worth waiting for all day long. Again, the whole point is to survive your trading curve and guess as little as possible. And the algo and the deltas and the key locations help with all of that, right? So for me today, the first question I'm asking is, after the first hour, can we get back? Oh, you can't see this. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. Sorry, ADD man here. So let's go back and redo this. Okay. If you look at yesterday morning, start over again and watch the whole process through the course of the day. I'm going to erase this and do it one more time so everyone can see it. Not very cool on my part. Sorry. We're pushing up. Biggest delta push of the day right there, right? That is the biggest delta, I promise you. We run up. See these yellow bars? That's the algo telling me that they are sweeping the bid on those particular range bars, right? I get a momentum push to the upside, right? So we know when we start trending up that what usually caps a trend up or a trend down, not always, but a great deal of the time, is the push to the final push to the upside. And then we close, this is the biggest delta on top, that 1567. We then push below, and then as soon as we close underneath this guy right here, see how we have a quick backside test. We also close underneath VWAP, quick backside test where they try to recover it. And you know that the VWAP traders who are sitting there waiting to buy VWAP to the tick get stopped if they have reasonable stops. If they're idiots, they had big stops and got smoked. And then they roll to the downside. So two things. First of all, you'll then notice that we get the 4,000 delta below. This is what, and it's the back of that 28.1775. That's what I want to target for a short, right? And remember yesterday when we were coming into that 10.12, I said I think they're going to take that out. This was very unusual price behavior. Buying this is really, really hard. This is true trend behavior. And they came into the hole at 28.0775. Notice this back and forth when we get to a low and we have a nasty down day. This is normal behavior. Okay. And then notice overnight, where do we come to? 28.17. We just missed, excuse me, right at the close. We come to that 17. We just missed the top of that 17.75. They front run it. Why? They were using VWAP to reject. Notice that's the first test of VWAP since we broke below. It's a great place to lay in risk for a short side trade, right? And then we pushed down, and then overnight we pushed in. This is where we were short right here at 13. Notice the tight pack formation in early Asia means that usually the markets are going to break the way the rest of the market breaks. See how that 99 held, guys, by the way? Okay, so let me, where's my dome? Oh, it's right here. I don't even have to do anything. Let's see. There we go. Dome. See how that 99, that low volume node, they pushed in, rejected out, pushed in, rejected out, right? So remember, if they get above it, don't be surprised at the backside test. Guys that are shorting it, right? If they get blasted over, they're going to cover on the first backside test of that same location. But this low volume node has already held for the first time and giving you a trade out of that location. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And so finally, what am I looking for? Again, my trade plan is pretty straightforward. That's value area low. If I end the first hour and I'm below value area low, I'm looking for short setups in there. Notice the first test in the VWAP, they ran them a little bit, but rejection down. That made sense, right? And that's exactly, in Asia, this holds almost perfectly. Even in the afternoon, this holds almost perfectly. In the first half hour, that's a tougher trade. We're above the swing lows, recent swing lows at 95, 97. And so what I want to see is that push up in 2807. I want to see if we can project out of this area, if I can get a setup, preferably out of this 03, 0475 is where I'd expect the rejection. But I'm also noticing right out of the gate, we haven't really been able to crawl up to that area, and we normally you would expect it. The caveat there is it's summertime, and so the PA has been weird. Like, even look at it now. Again, we're into this 1 tick, 2 tick, 3 tick stuff, and it just hasn't been as straightforward as you would normally like. Let me switch this over. There we go. So that being said, my trade plan is to relax, wait for the big deltas to print, get above or below them and test them, right? And I'm not trying to hit home runs today. If we're holding underneath value area low after the first hour, I will try to press some shorts to the downside. But again, I can wait to the first half hour, and I will wait for pushes up and let the algo set me in to trigger me to the downside, instead of just taking it and guessing whether they're going to run over the shorts or not, and whether everyone gets bearish or not. It's certainly not the normal response that we get, but also remember, we've had a couple of mornings now where they've hesitated and then run it after the first 30, 40 minutes, right? So let's see what they do at 2803 and then 2807.50. The most important thing that I want to stress out of this whole thing, guys, is that you don't have to make any one day. You don't have to make any one day work for you. You don't have to be perfect. Trend days are hard, right? If you don't understand what you're looking at, like I threw out a lot of crap this morning, right? Because there's a lot of possibilities. If you're like Ron, and Ron goes, well, I think they're going to run it as long as they hold 95, 98. And he's long as long as it holds 95, 98, and he's cool getting stopped out. That's a good trade for him then. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Ron's thought process there, right? He's willing to lose money and thinks they're going to smoke the shorts and run them straight up. That's good for Ron. Like, he's not against my perception. For me, right, it's summertime. I like to make trading as stress-free as possible. I know I'm looking for my best setups, and I'm not going to try and guess what the whole world's trying to do, because I just don't feel under pressure. I'm about to go on vacation. Just want to pick off 1 or 2 trades through the course of the day. And usually on a day like today, what happens when I'm trading poorly is I try to figure out the location early in the day. I get down, and then I need the rest of the day to build myself back up. Or I go, I don't want to dig too big a hole. I'm just going to wait till it rolls out. If I look at my trading history, usually after 10 a.m., I get better trades than before 10 a.m. And that's just because of my personality, right? So the first thing I'm asking is I'm watching and I'm learning, and I'm asking what the market's saying. So first of all, market's above VWAP. First clue that we may not be in trend day down, that they may smoke the shorts, right? Because on true trend day down, not always, but when it looks perfect, it doesn't get above VWAP. Secondly, we're into a key location, 03 to 0475. We're in the first 30 minutes of the day. What I'm asking is, do I see rejection out of this 03, 0475? If so, what's the rejection worth? Is it worth 2 ticks, 4 ticks, 6 ticks? This is my opportunity to watch and learn, right? And see if the market responds or if I'd get run over. And what I want to do is go, I think X should happen, and actually see it happening, because my goal hasn't been to trade 100 times a day. My goal is to trade a few times a day, but build size over time. And the guys I have that have the most success, that's what they do. They lay back, they watch, and they learn. So inventory was obviously short overnight because it couldn't be anything but. We've been going straight down. So it's not unusual to shake out inventory first thing today. And the first test of that will be 03, 0475. So the next thing I'm looking at is, do we get back below 2800? Because that's where VWAP is. And then any push up from there, I'd want to hold underneath 2800. And certainly below 95, 98, I would figure 91 gets tested, right? That's how I approach the trading day. It's pretty relaxed. Delta's pushing, and it's not in trend territory. We're only negative 2,700. When we get negative 20,000 delta, that tends to put us into trend territory. We're not there right now. That's all there is to it. There's no one that's scared of this particular push. And Ron's right. What we've done traditionally is run the shorts. That's been the hallmark of this market. So we want to ask, are they running the shorts, right? And all you have to do to figure that out, if you're the guy who buys the dip first thing in the morning and you take the first opening print, that's good for you. You've won the majority of those battles over the last 2 years. It's just not me. And I'm all right with that too. I know that I'm going to win my battles tonight. And I know that I'm going to get set up somewhere in the day. The biggest delta will print. It'll get backside tested. And if nothing else, I'll pull my few points out of that. And then if I can see the bigger picture and I can identify the low, or I can get a setup on the swing high, as either as myself or as a team, right? Then hopefully we nail a 5 or 10 point trade through the course of the day or better. And we do it often enough where it makes our numbers really pop, right? So anyways, that's my 2 cents. That's what I'm looking at. I don't feel or think I've missed anything to this point. The cool thing I have noticed is that from this morning already is that we've opened up, we've pushed above, right? We backside tested support. We've gotten above VWAP, which tells me potential for reversal. You got to get above the 03, 04 in order to test the 07. And here's the other cool thing. I already know immediately, hey, they actually respected the levels, right? That's good. I want to know that for my trading purposes. We pushed into a key level, 03, 04, 75, and we respected it, right? Now, how much have we respected it for? So far for about a point, right? So the next question is, do we get back below VWAP? And what do we do when we test this 98, 95? I'd probably be willing to also, if we got to this 98, 95, if I get rejection out of VWAP, I'm probably willing to take with a really tight stop the first backside test onto VWAP to see if I can't press into that 91, right? On the other hand, if we establish above value area low, I'm going to look for presses back down to this 04, 03 for a push back up towards 16, 14, right? If we establish above. So I'm going to be watching those half-hour time frames. And again, I think the best trades will set up after the first hour today is my guess. Does anyone have any questions? Did I lay that out pretty clearly for what we're looking for? The algo will trigger us in, I promise you. There's zero doubt in my mind about that. And I will get called away. There'll be a text message. And that's it. Let's work together as a team, guys. We have some great guys in these rooms. The Slack channel, if you're not on the Slack channel, is immensely helpful. Ralph is posting some great stuff. I wish everyone's welcome to post what they see, as long as it's not a random calling of trades. If you're not taking the trade, don't post it's long here or it's short here. Post what you're doing, just like Ralph does, and your levels. There's nothing wrong. You can even contradict my point of view or the way I'm looking at it. As long as you're trading it on the Slack channel, I don't care, right? That's fine. Go ahead and post it. But don't post stuff like, I think we go to 0 or I think we're going to 2,000. It doesn't help anybody, right? Post stuff like support here. I see resistance there. Ralph and I usually line up pretty closely. Peter swings, right? When he posts his stuff, he's a swing trader and he's consistent, right? And he does a great deal of, at least for me, posting his options trades, and he's very, very good at it. His time frame's different than mine. He's usually a 2 or 3 day time frame on many of his trades, although he does day trade. Everyone has a different time frame that they're comfortable with, and the guys who make money figure out where their sweet spot is. And then what they do, like Peter is a great example, and Ralph's a great example. There's lots of guys that are great examples. They take their trade plan. They look at my strong suits. What are my strong points? For example, unquestionable, better than trader is chartist. I do a better job at charting levels than I do trading. If I traded as well as I chart, I'd be a multi-billionaire, quite frankly, right? But I'm not. I'm not. No one's going to cry for me, but I'm not a billionaire, right? I'm not even anything special, right? I've made a good living, and I've been very blessed from the markets, right? Everyone has a different strong suit. The idea isn't to find a trading room or a trader that's perfect, because even if he was, the odds that you could follow him is very, very low odds that you could just follow him blindly and make money, right? You have to understand what your psychological strengths and weaknesses are, right? What pace of market you're good at. Is it a fast market or a slow market, right? Like Ron is great when we trap above value area high or value area low, and he knows it's going to be a slow grind. Ron is fantastic at going, we're going up on the day, establishes a position, and he parks there and he waits and on NQ, and he grabs 20, 30, 40 points, 50 points sometimes in the right market, right? And he does a great job of adjusting his size relative to the volatility, right? And he's done that because when I started working with Ron, I'm not going to say how many contracts he traded, but he started off as a 2-contract trader, right? And he methodically worked to learn how to increase trade size, reduce his worst trades, which took care of his negative P&L for the most part, and then to focus on his highest odds setups. And that's what he does. And then he trusts himself. Even when he and I are a complete opposite point of view of what we're looking for, he takes my point of view, right? He integrates it into his analysis, and then he does what he thinks is right, even if I'm not doing even if I'm not doing it, or often even if I'm in complete opposition to what he's doing, right? He follows his trade plan, right? And that's the best model I know. All of those guys do what suits you the best, right? And learn from others and integrate it into your process. But you got to be who you are as a trader, right? If you're not comfortable trading big size, right, this is going to be a really hard game long term. If you're going to try and one-step this on one contract, it's the hardest way to do it, right? Multiple contract traders have an infinitely easier time than a single contract trader. Traders that take the same setup over and over have an infinitely easier time than traders who are constantly changing, and traders who constantly change markets because their market slows down or they don't quite understand it. And then the last one, that's the biggest one of all, is guys who panic and freak out when their setups don't come and they start going, I've got to do something different, or they can't stop trading when their setups don't work, right? Or they can't cut size because they feel the pressure to make money, or every day has got to be a home run, right? Those guys get their ass kicked and they blow out of the market, bottom line. And that's the majority of people, right? Because everyone's looking for the easier buck instead of learning their market. Not anyone who's listening to me, but just net over my 20 years in the market, that's what I've seen. So anyways, long story short, take the best part of what I have to offer, integrate it into your process, right? And build size over your highest odds. If you don't know what your highest odds trades are, figure it out, right? You got to know. Like, I know the first press into my locations, I get rejection. I know this is usually worth 1 or 2 points. Like, the first thing this tells me here is that we didn't get a very big roll down. We backside tested and we couldn't test VWAP, and responsive buyers came right in. I know from the pace of the market, right, we're just kind of one-stepping it over and over. We got above that low volume node. That low volume node was right there at 99, right? That we got to get back underneath that, and that there's guys stuck there, right? Because you can see here early in, see how they were shorting the 99, and they got their payout from that if they were quick. 99 for 96, right? Came multiple times. Then we got above, backside tested that same low volume node and pushed. That's just not my trade. And not at 8:30 in the morning, it's not, right? And so then now the next question is, where does the biggest delta appear here? So far, switch charts. We have biggest delta of the day is 1934, and it appeared at that overnight. Had to be early here. Let's see. 16, 13, 14, 8. So far I showed the 1625 is the biggest of this session. So that the 2056 pre-market is off to the left. So we have, that's this guy back over here. Okay, so see this is the biggest delta overnight here. You got to get underneath that delta. So Ron, good eyes on your part. You got to get underneath that delta to roll lower. Okay, and then from the day session, this 1625 is our biggest delta. In the day session, you got to get underneath him, right, to push down. And then you finally, probably in addition to the 99, you find a responsive buy, although none of those are, that 2000 delta is big for Europe, but it's not an exceptionally large delta. And you know you got to get underneath this guy. And you can see they are rejecting from the 0403, right? Doesn't mean that you'll get a big rejection. There's some hurdles here, right? And then what I'd like to see is this. If we can press down and back into VWAP, I wouldn't mind that first test of VWAP for continuation down to 2790, right? And I'm not as bullish as Ron is, so I think as long as this rejects down and we can get back underneath 2803, I just don't have it set up yet. So I'll see. But you can see immediately that they couldn't close underneath 1625. See how they came down and the point of control couldn't get underneath, and they pushed back up. So this is now your little battle zone. And remember, so this is, if you're going to weight this comes from a RTH chart, right? Heavily weighted. This is a 1-5 range bar, right? Or 6 range bar, 6 tick bar. This has the lowest weighting. Like if this is a 10 and this is a 4 in terms of importance, right? So these are my guide marks along the path. These are my bigger areas. This is pretty important as well. If we trap inside here now and we come up, I would look for the backside test to hold and then push and squeeze them all the way back up if that's possible. And then the PA, see how this is not fast? Think about just a couple months ago when we would open up at 27.99. When responsive buyers came back in, we'd be up 10 points, right? Different environment. Let the market develop. Let it give you your last push to the upside. Look how yesterday worked. And then remember yesterday, right? This is what's hard about this market. See how we're just grinding straight, right? So what I usually want is that give and take like we had in Asia. This is tough when you're going straight up, okay? And then everyone looks and goes, well, I'm looking for my normal setup, right? I'm going to wait for the first test of VWAP and get paid, right? I'm not going to chase. And you get smoked like this. The key there was to know that you just shouldn't have closed underneath VWAP and you should have flipped on it. If you took that and saw the close and the point of control came under the VWAP and you just hit the eject button, you could even flatted that, you were fine. But guys tend to hold their breath. When it's perfect, it simply doesn't close underneath VWAP. It comes in and the point of control closes above and then it goes. And it's worth taking a small loss and reloading if it closes above versus taking a big loss over here. But the key to that was the PA in the morning, right up until the end of the first hour, was just grinding up, right? So you can see we just pushed hard into 2807. So that a couple of things are telling me we're not trend day right now. Ron, nice call, by the way. Right. And now I'm looking. Do we close back into value area low? If we do, I know it's game on for push back up, and they've trapped all the shorts overnight, and we're going to push to the upside. So that's my 2 cents. I'm still looking for the biggest delta to the upside, and I'm looking to close underneath my last momentum. And by the way, that's a new high delta right there. So we just change, right? Now I know I need to get underneath this guy. Life becomes pretty easy, right? I don't have to get emotional about my decision-making process. And now I want to see us get underneath there and a backside test in that area. I will short. Additionally, I know the first tap back down here probably produces a long trade. Just FYI, I'm not taking it because, again, we're underneath value area low. And this is a great example of how even though we're below value area low, I didn't take it and go, oh, we're below value area low. It's an automatic short. What I said was these are the things I'm looking for, and I'm staying outside of the first half hour to hour of the day, right? And I'll let it set up. So this way, if they drive straight up, I don't lose any money. The locations were correct. The backside test into this area, I don't want to see a point of control close underneath this guy right now, right here. That's my most important bar of the day for the 24 hours, right? And if I get underneath it, I want to see backside test into this area. And I don't want my point of control closing above this bar if I'm going to short the backside test of that area. And then I'm looking for a test of VWAP and a test of 27.98, 27.95. So, and notice how we've held right to value area low and immediately rejected. And the reason for that is this is all locals trading. See how they come in, we reject. We come in, we reject. But no one's shoving this market hard one way or the other. And Delta does not support a trend day down. Again, we were above negative 20,000 right out of the gate, right? So lots of things to put the brakes on that keep me from making the mistake of, oh, it must be short, right? So that's it. And if we get a big extension up, let's say to 28.13, and we can get back to this 28.05 for a test, I will tag that 28.05 on the rotation back down for a long. If it closes behind it, I will close that out for a loss, right? And then on the backside test, I will short that for a roll back towards VWAP. Hopefully when that occurs, VWAP would be back up here and a test down into 27.98, 27.95. So the first thing you should see is response off of this bar on this quick backside test, right? I just don't like doing it right underneath. It just hasn't set up the way I like. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. I hope that really, really helps. Remember, your whole goal is just to wait for the one setup or two setups that will give you a profit. No one predicts the market perfectly every day. And I could draw a line anywhere on here, right? I could have simply said 27.98.95 with support. We get above, backside test and long. That's an easy thing to do. Actually trading it is harder, okay? And it takes time and skill to learn those things. So I know what I'm looking for my trades, and I know what I expect out of my day. And anyways, that's my 2 cents. I hope everyone has a great day on YouTube. If you'd like to join us, you can hit me at TRADERTOUGH@gmail.com and ask for a 5-day pass to the room. And that's it. I'm on vacation next week, by the way, guys. So anyone who asks for a pass, it'll actually start the following week. So anyways, that's all I got. I will talk to y'all later. I haven't taken a vacation in a year. I'm very excited about it. I'm looking forward to spending some time on the beach, doing absolutely nothing. Of course, my 2-year-olds will probably prevent me from doing that at all, but that's the goal at least. So anyways, I will talk to y'all in a bit. Thank y'all for joining on YouTube. Stay safe. Don't draw down hard. Make money.